smoke the books.
The lock talk.
What's up, family? Have you ever bet on a game, lose, you double up to win your money back, but then soon after you just lose it all again? Yeah, well, that's how most people go broke when it comes to sports betting. And today I'm going to be breaking down the number one thing that separates the sharps from your everyday casual person who loses everything they got when they're sports betting. So if you're with me, please watch the entire video. So I'm making it very simple to even where a fifth grader can understand it. And by the end of this video, I'm pretty sure you'll be much better at managing your funds when it comes to sports betting. So if you want to see this content, but you want to see more educational content just like this, guys, please hit that subscribe button. It only helps me push out more content like this so you guys can get the best information you can when it comes to attacking the books and smoking them with me, man. So let's get straight into it. I'm going to use this whiteboard right behind me to help record all this. This is Bankroll Management 101, and let's go put a little money sign right here so we can go to it, man. So first of all, let's just go straight into it. What is Bankroll Management? A bankroll does not mean how much total you have to bet with. It's really the amount of money that you could afford to lose. And this money is not your rent money. It's not your emergency fund. It is purely money you set aside just to bet with. Because if everything went to zero, you would still be okay. So again, I'm gonna write it down. Money set aside. That's number one. This is what you should be betting with if you want to have a proper bankroll to make a secondary income or some side income when you're sports betting. But we're not going to be doing money for rent. Nope. We're going to do money for like savings, food. Like these are not funds that you should be taking away from these areas to be betting with. Again, it should be money that you can afford to lose. And if you lost every single dollar you had in your bankroll for your sports betting account, you would be okay. You will be able to live very comfortably, or at least without any financial strain. So now that we have the baseline, right? You're not using money that you would use for rent, savings, or food. Let's get into number two. How do we decide how much to bet with, right? So the biggest question I always get is, how much should I start out with? That's like always the question. And to be honest, there's no one straight answer, right? I would say it really depends on you, because if you break down your bankroll, right, it needs to be a certain percentage of how much money you have, right? So I go by your net worth, and net worth is really this. So net, I'm gonna write this down, is if you have never taken a finance or accounting class, which my background is actually in Wall Street. I used to be a Wall Street analyst and investor, and now I do this full time because I've been smacking the books for years on years. I've been doing this professionally, and I want to distill a lot of this knowledge so you guys, because now sports is becoming so big, and I've been seeing people, even though they get good picks, even they get some of my free picks, my premium picks, they're just unable to manage their bankrolls properly. So to answer the biggest question, how much money should you be betting with? This is what I would say, and this is my opinion. So number one, your net worth. You need to take your assets minus your liabilities, right? So what's an asset? Asset, let's say an example is like cash. A liability would be like credit card debt, student loans. I feel like most people in the world have these type of liabilities. A mortgage, rent. I mean, even though rent is not itself a debt product, it's money that you have to pay out, right? And you could maybe make it into like a big payment or something. But assets could be cash, stocks, jewelry, etc. I mean, there's obviously a lot of different things. This is not a finance class, but you took those all together, you subtracted all the assets you had minus your liabilities, you will get your net worth. And let's say, for example, this person that we're doing is doing pretty good, man. They have 100K in assets and they have 10K in debt. This will net them $90,000. I'm writing this all on my iPad, so we're doing this very live. So you would have $90,000 to bet with in your sports betting account. But to make this easier, let's just scribble this out. Let's say we had 100K now. We have 100K net worth. Now we can use this 100K to go and make a bankroll. So are we gonna use the entire 100,000? Absolutely not. So let's keep it going. How much? So we determined we had a net worth, personal net worth of $100,000. And I'd say, in my opinion, if you want to actually take this seriously, where you want to make some side income where the money would be meaningful from what you would win over a period of time, I would say you should do anywhere from 1 to maybe 10% of your total net worth. Obviously, 1% is the most conservative. 10% is probably the most aggressive I would go. So in this example, it could be anywhere from 1K to 10K bankroll, right? And this is based off a $100,000 net worth, right? This guy doesn't have $100. This person does not have 20,000. This is 1 to 10% of that big number up there, right? But let's take it, I say I like going for the middle a lot of times. So let's say we have a $100,000 net worth. We're gonna do 5K bankroll. So to make this very clear, right? This is not just for a week. In my opinion, I like to look at bankrolls for a longer period of time. And the period of time I would say is 3 months to 6 months to 1 year. So this is how long this bankroll should last us for. It should not just only last us for 1 day, 1 week. This is the amount that we should be betting with for these, longer periods of time right here. And that's the whole point, because we're gonna win and we're gonna lose. But in order for us to withstand the losing periods, we need to have enough bankroll behind us so that we can catch those wins. Because I guarantee you one thing, right? No matter how good your picks are, you will lose. No matter how much of an edge you have, you will find some bad beats, you will lose. There is variance or, just things that happen in sports betting, right? Bad beats. And you have to be willing to withstand those bad beats. And the only way you can do that is if you have enough money behind you to go attack, because if you find an edge or you find some type of advantage, you want to be able to play the game. That's all it's about. It's about being in the game and having a proper bankroll, and then having the time periods to look back and say, okay, this is how long I'm betting for, will keep you on track. So that is how I would say you could determine for yourself how much you should be betting with if you want to take this seriously. And obviously, not everyone has 100,000. Maybe some people have 20,000. Make it to your level where you're at. But now, right, we have our bankroll and we have our time period. Now we know the next step, right? The next step is we have our bankroll. So now our bankroll is 5,000, right? So our bankroll is 5K. So we're gonna rock with a 5K bankroll. So now the question is, all right, now that I have $5,000, how much should I bet on per bet? So what is my per bet dollar amount? And that's obviously the place where a lot of people get this wrong, in my opinion. So I like to use the term unit count. Some people don't like to use it, but the unit count is a standard way to not only measure your bets per bet, but even to compare people's success. That's how I like to use to, I guess, stack my success to promote my business and how I'm doing, because I can say just generally, I'm up this amount of units, but obviously the dollar amount is dependent on how much you're betting. Because at the end of the day, we could all be betting different amounts. And honestly, skill is not about how much money you make, it's how much return you make, right? How many units you generate, how much ROI you generate, not just the dollar amount. Just remember that, guys. So in this example, right, we have a 5K bankroll. What is our per bet amount? So I like to use around 1 to 5% per unit. And the unit is just the standard account for, or just like how much we're gonna bet per bet. So 1 to 5% of this amount right here. So if you guys are not that good with math, that's anywhere from $50 to $250 per bet, right? So obviously one side is more aggressive than the other. I like to go in the middle. I'd say 2.5% is also pretty good, but 1% is also fine. The other way I like to look at it is like this, right? How many chances till you lose it all, right? So how many chances till you lose it all? If you do 1%, right? In the 1% example, that's you need to lose 100 times in a row, right? You have to bet $50 100 times in a row for you to lose everything, right? In the 5% example, it's 20 shots, right? You lost 20 bets in a row, which is possible. I've seen people do it before. You'll lose everything in this example, right? The thing is, it's a lot easier said than done. The part where a lot of people end up messing up is when they're losing, right? That's why I put it on red. This is what the unit count represents, right? How many chances you have to lose. Obviously, you have more chances to lose here, less to lose here. But obviously, if you're betting a bigger percentage of your bankroll every bet, your bankroll can increase quicker the bigger your bets are per bet that you win. So obviously, I think the way you can do it again is go in the middle. So in the middle is around like $125, right? So I would say for this example, we could do, let's just do $100, right? Just to make my math easier. We'll do $100 per bet. That will be our unit. So every time I say 1 unit, that will be a $100 bet. In this example, 2 units, like I said, we do a half a unit, right? That would be $50. So again, guys, you gotta stick to the unit count. The unit count, the per bet amount is very, very important, because that will keep you disciplined and it keep you on a pathway, so then you don't over bet or under bet, so you can make enough money but also not lose so much where you'll wipe out yourself. Because as you can clearly see, if I'm betting $100 per bet, right, I have a very lower likelihood that I'm gonna lose it all in one shot. I have basically 50 let's see, I can't even see it, 50 shots to lose it all, but you know, I'm in the game though. That's what the whole point is, right? So the next thing is right now I'm gonna rewrite what we have. So we have our bankroll, which is 5K. Then we have our unit, right, which is $100. Now we can definitely start betting properly, right? So whatever sport you bet, you know, for let's call it like maybe for 6 months, we're gonna be betting with $5,000. And then for the 6 months per bet, this will be $100 for one unit. And this is all you gotta do, man. Like if you're gonna bet, whether you follow my picks or you take any other advice, you need to follow something like this. So then when you're betting, you have some type of system and I guess accountability for yourself when you're betting. So anytime you go out for a bet, let's say you're gonna bet tonight's game, you're gonna bet one game, you bet one unit. That's like the minimum you should be betting, in my opinion. Obviously you could move it around, but I'd say one unit every game, once a day or something like that is totally normal. And you could definitely build a huge bankroll if you're betting by this unit count system. So, but the thing is, I have to say this though, the one problem everyone gets to issues, right? This is the biggest problem. Even though I outlined right above you the golden rules, right? This is how much we're betting for that set amount of time per bet. But now this is the problem. Never, and I mean never, change units to chase losses. And that sounds a lot easier than in practice, man. Because if you're down maybe 5 units or you had a bad day, it's very easy for people to go and try to win it all back by over betting and betting an insane amount. But remember, guys, this is the reason why you have this right here. You have a time period that you were attacking, 6 months, a year. The biggest thing I'd say among anything else, besides all this, the biggest thing is discipline. If you do not have this, all this is done in the water. If you don't have the mentality to be disciplined and follow the plan and have faith that even though you may be down, in this example, 5 units, right? You have enough ammo in the tank. You have enough time to get it back and some. So again, if you don't have this right here, discipline, not only you will not be successful in this, you can't be successful in anything, in my personal opinion, because you need discipline to follow the game plan. And a unit count is a game plan, man. It's what it is. It's a game plan, a guide for you to bet properly. Again, so you don't lose so much money where you wipe yourself out, but also so you can have a plan to make more money over time. So the next thing is, right, next part, I call this like part 4 now, is now we have the bankroll, we have the unit count. What do you do next? Number one you need to do is you need to track everything. Every bet, every single thing that you bet, you need to track it. You need to keep track of the unit counts, and it'll help you for multiple reasons, right? Like it'll keep you accountable, and you could learn, right, where you're good or even where you're bad. So I keep track of every single bet, not only because I have clients, I follow my picks, I want to just also continue to track myself, improve myself, also keep myself accountable. I want to make sure I'm not overbid. I'm seeing maybe where I'm at throughout the week so I can manage my bankroll. I can go look at how much I've betted so far, where I'm doing, and maybe what's to come ahead. Because sometimes I might not bet too much because I know there's a big weekend coming ahead. There might be a big game coming up, so I don't want to overbet just in case, things go the other way. The main thing for sports betting, in my opinion, is limiting losses. It's the same thing as investing. Like Warren Buffett had the rule, number 1 rule is to not lose money, and number 2 is to remember rule number 1. And that's what kind of keeping track of everything helps with, is that you can see where you're doing poorly, but also where you're doing well as well, so you can continue to bet the things that make you successful, but maybe avoid things that are not doing good. So not only is the tracking important just to make sure you're following the unit count, but also just to improve your performance. But the biggest thing is, right, and everyone asks me, because everyone is going to be a winner, right? Everyone at least believes you definitely have to have belief and faith that you will be successful in anything you do, right? So the question always comes to me is adjusting your bankroll, right? So when can you do it, right? Look, you could definitely adjust it over time. I started betting with $10, now I bet with $500 to $1,000 per bet, sometimes less, sometimes more, but I adjusted as my bankroll grew, right? So the only time you should ever change, and I know in the beginning I said we're not changing, but it's to change your bankroll is after the period of time. So after, I'm gonna call it time period, you have to look at 2 things, your profit and then your bankroll, right? So in my opinion, right, you should only change your unit count, right? Or your unit sizing, right? So change, so the triangle in math is change. Unit is when your bankroll, your profit, in my opinion, increases 2x, right? So in our example, the only time I would adjust my bankroll is if I went from, let's see, 5K to, what's wrong with my bad? Let's type it here, 5K to 10K. If I successfully did that over a 6-month period or a year, then I would only consider changing my unit count. Because if I went from 5K to 10K, right, and I'm betting, let's say I'm betting $100 a game, now I have more confidence to say, okay, I've been successful. I've obviously been able to develop some type of edge. Now I can definitely bet with more, but now I also have a bigger bankroll, so I'm still remaining within that 1 to 5% band, right, of a unit count. So now instead of $100, we're gonna do $200 per bet. Oops, let's see, I gotta move this up a little bit. We're gonna do $200 per bet. So that's the only time, again, I would adjust my bankroll is if I increased my entire, the only time I would adjust my unit count is if I increased my bankroll by 2x. Once I do that, then I will consider adjusting it however you see fit. It doesn't have to be 2x as well. It could be, instead of 200, you could do $150. That's still more impactful, right? Because now before, instead of me winning, let's say I'm betting a minus 110, instead of me winning 90 bucks, I'm winning, I don't know, like $130, $120. I don't know. I can't do the math right in my head like that. But as you can see, this small increase in your unit count will definitely lead to your bankroll increasing at a faster rate if you continue to win at the same rate. But also, it just makes the stakes a little bit higher, and then you can see a bigger impact every single day when you do happen to win. But also, you have to remember, if you lose, you will definitely lose more nominally, but relative to your bankroll, it's the same amount, right? So it doesn't matter. So again, that's why it's important to follow these unit counts and bankroll amounts, because then your losses are the same, right? Even though, yeah, I mean, let's say you were to lose $100 back in the day, but now because your bankroll, you're losing $150 per game if you were to lose. But you gotta remember, your bankroll went from 5K to 10K, so it's not the same. That's why I do say, when you're following someone and you're looking at their bankrolls, it's all relative, right? Like the guy might bet 5K game, but he might have a $500,000 bankroll. So losing 5K to him is not a big deal. So don't copy people based off the nominal number. Look at how much they have and just make it all relative to yourself and your situation. And then one day you might be able to get to that type of bankroll, and then you could bet that type of size. But again, guys, I do want to say one thing, man. Like, why? Like, again, if you were skipping through this and you're still questioning why it matters, I mean, I don't know. I feel like you have to go scroll back a little bit, but you don't have to be perfect, man. I mean, the number one thing I will say is, like, smart bettors consistently follow the unit counts. They track everything, and they're able to survive the cold streaks. That's the whole point of the unit management and bankroll system, is to do that. Of course, you go on a winning streak, it's a lot easier to follow this because you don't have to worry about losing. But the whole point is, this matters because right here, you will lose. If you know anyone that bets normal odds, that they're not betting minus 1,000, and they bet, like me, plus money, minus 110s, minus 170s, minus 150s at most, let me know, because I would just stop doing all this work myself and I'll just follow someone that never loses, which is impossible, guys. You will lose. You will face a losing streak at some point in your betting life. It's literally impossible. Anyone that says otherwise, they're lying to you, right? So just to close it out, man, I do want to say one thing. I just want to rewrite. So put it home, man. These are what I want you to walk away with. Remember this. I'm trying to type and what? I'm trying to write and look at the screen at the same time. It's hard. Number one, set up bankroll. Number two, use unit count, right? We did that. We set up our bankroll. In our example, we had a 5K bankroll, and our unit count was 100 per bet, right? I want you to remember that. It's 100 per bet off a 5K bankroll. We're not betting $500 a game. We're betting $100 for a 5K bankroll, all right? And then number three, never chase losses. In other words, stay disciplined. Remember rules number 1 and 2. Never forget, follow the plan. Even if you went to an insane losing streak, don't ever go away from the plan, because that's how you will definitely lose it all. I'm telling you. Number 4, track everything. And I mean it, man. Track every single thing you can. Everything. All the bets you're making. There's a ton of apps and software that you can do to follow it. But even if you have to do it on hand or on an Excel sheet, do that. It will definitely make you a better over time, 100%. And then the last thing but not least is adjust over time. Adjust your unit count, adjust your bankroll if something happens, right? Like, it's okay, man. Like, you could adjust it over that time period, but make sure you just follow the plan, and you could reference this video whenever you want if you want to adjust and even get more guidance on your bankroll. But guys, you've been with me this long. Thank you so much. Please, it really does help me if you hit that subscribe button. Leave a number 8. Number 8 is the money number. And I really do hope this lesson was helpful in your bankroll management journey. And I hope with this, you can start off your sports betting journey the right way. If you ever did want to work with me personally, I will put something down in the link below so you can join me to get in my free channels, my newsletter, or even my premium chat so we can go smoke the books together. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you on the next one.